Alfredo. Entonces,
Tells me,
Esteban dice, vamos
let's go wash the machine, he tells me.
a las 5 tenemos que
Because at 5
tener ya
p.m. we
todo
have to have
listo,
everything
lavado para ir.
ready to go.
Le digo,
You know
qué,
what, Alfredo?
Me voy
I'm
a poner a
gonna
lavar
wash this stuff before,
antes, porque
because
cuando ya llega
when
la hora de,
it's time to
de
go,
irnos, todos se echan a
you
correr
guys
y me
usually
dejan
leave
solo.
me by myself.
Y me voy a
So I'm just gonna get
adelantar un poco.
ahead of myself
Entonces,
and
tomé la manguera
wash it.
y
So I grabbed the
empecé
hose
a
and I
echarle
started putting
agua,
water
a
over it
lavar, a sacarle la
and taking out
basura,
all
la
the dirt
tierra y
and
todo
all
eso.
the garbage from the machine.
Pero como atrás, o sea, en la
But
máquina
behind
abajo,
the machine,
hay una
there's actually a little
plataformita
platform
así, parada
just
así
right in
enfrente.
front.
Entonces, atrás de esa
And
se
so right behind
acumula
that, there's a
tierra
lot
y
of dirt
basura.
and garbage
Oye,
that we have to
¿cómo
take
le
it out.
saco
So I
aquí la
thought to
basura?
myself, how can I take it
Entonces,
out
tomé
exactly?
un asadón
So
y
I
me
took a
estaba
little
yo
utensil and I
metiendo
started
para
moving my
sacarlo,
arm,
pero
trying to get in
como
there
no podía,
to remove
tenía
the
que entrar
dirt.
así y luego dar la
I
vuelta,
would
así
turn it
como
and turn it, but I wasn't
y
able
como
to get the dirt out.
y como la máquina no se paró,
And so the
estaba
machine
trabajando todo el
had
tiempo.
never been switched off.
Entonces
It
yo
was
metí
still
la mano
rotating. I put
así
my
para
hand
sacar
in
la basura que
carefully to
estaba
take out the
atrás,
garbage and the dirt that was
pero
behind.
no sé, yo sentí que la mano
But
la
I
metí bien por
felt as
abajo
though
de las
my arm I
cadenas.
had put it in safely,
Sabes que cuando
but
me
as
di
soon as
cuenta,
before I could actually
la cadena me
realize,
estaba
my
jalando
arm and my
la
shirt was
ropa,
actually
la
being
camisa,
tugged on and pulled away.
sí, y yo por
So
más
I
que le
started
jalé,
pulling my arm back and
jalé,
back and
pero
trying to
me
pull my
agarró
shirt back as well.
de suéter que
And
tenía
it started
abajo,
grabbing
como
my
ya
second
ves que
layer
hacía
underneath
frío,
because at the time there
y
was cold
no me pude
outside, so I had
sacar.
several layers
Les
on.
grité a los
So I started
muchachos
yelling and
que
screaming
estaban
for
los
help
más
to all
cercanos,
my coworkers,
como a 15
but they were
metros
about
atrás
10,
de mí.
15 meters away from me.
Yo les gritaba,
I started
pero
yelling
nadie
and
me
yelling,
escuchó
but
por el mismo
because of
ruido
the
de la
machine and
máquina
how loud it was,
y el
nobody
ruido
could
que
really
ellos
hear
tenían
me.
allá de la
And
máquina,
so
y como
everybody's
estaban todos
also
tapados por el frío,
wearing hats
pues no
and
escuchaban.
and
Entonces yo les grité
earmuffs
más
and
fuerte,
whatnot. They
levanté
couldn't
la
hear
mano,
me.
todos ya corrieron. Y es que no hay
And the problem
un
was,
botón de
as I
seguridad,
screamed, I
no había
realized that there
nada.
was no button
Los
for an
botones los
emergency
tenían
stop on the
adelante,
machine either.
como a 15 metros adelante, y tampoco
And
ellos
so
mismos me
nobody really
escuchaban
heard
porque
me or my
ellos están
screams. They
trabajando allá,
were
estaban
doing their
limpiando el
job, busy
lienzo,
working,
sacando la
trying to
basura
get off their shift.
y los ruidos de las
And
máquinas, pues
because of
no
all the
se oye
ruckus and all
nada.
the sounds and noises of the machine,
Entonces,
nobody could
cuando
really hear me.
ya me vieron,
When
todos vinieron y
finally
ellos gritaron,
they
"Paren
saw
la
me, they came
máquina",
running
entonces
all and they
pararon la
started
máquina.
screaming, "Turn off the machine,
Vino
turn off the
un señor que se
machine."
llama Pablo,
So
Pablo
a
Otero,
young guy by the name of
compañero,
Pablo, he's actually my
y
coworker,
vino,
he came quickly to my rescue and to my side.
él fue el que estaba ahí conmigo, dice, no, pero el
He
brazo ya está
started
del otro
telling me
lado,
that
ya
your
está
arm's already on the other
desarmado.
side of the
Dice, hay que
machine.
desarmar la máquina,
Like we have
quitar
to
la
take off
cadena.
the chain on
Las
the
herramientas estaban
machine.
allí, le digo, mira, ahí están las herramientas.
And so we
Ándale,
noticed
ahí,
that the tools
échala
were
para acá, y
nearby.
si quieres yo le aflojo aquí. Dice, no, 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 no,
I
dice,
said I would
yo
start
lo hago, entonces él
loosening
mismo
the
agarró
machine from this
y
side with the tools.
aflojó la
And Pablo said,
tornilla
no, let
y
me
zafó la
take care of
cadena.
it.
Fue cuando ya me
And so
levantaron el
he
brazo
dislocated the chain and were
y
able to
me
pull me
ajustaron
out
ahí, pero
and
no
were able to
no
actually
perdí
grab the other piece of my arm.
la conciencia, o sea,
But I never
el
really
sentido, no
lost
lo perdí.
consciousness. Instead, I
Entonces
was
estuve
actually
despierto.
wide awake the whole time.
Entonces ya me acostaron ahí.
They, as soon as they got me out of the
Estuvieron
machine, they
ahí
put me and
otro
laid me down right
muchacho,
beside the
no me
machine.
acuerdo, no
I
recuerdo su
still
nombre.
hadn't lost
Me
consciousness.
puso
So a coworker of mine, I
torniquete
forgot his
aquí
name,
con la aguja
but
de
he
con la agujeta de
actually
su zapato, de su
put a
tenis, se
shirt
lo
of his
quitó y con
on
eso
top of
me
me and took his
amarró
laces
así,
off his shoe and
ya para
and
que no
tightened
saliera la sangre,
the
porque la sangre
actual
estaba
shirt
así
around my
saliendo
lost
así,
arm
como
so that it would
puntitas.
stop the bleeding because it was bleeding
Entonces
everywhere.
me pusieron ahí abajo y
So
él
he
me
tied me
amarró
up and he laid me there.
y al
And
ratito
maybe a couple
llegó
minutes later, a
el
little while
patrón,
later,
no el patrón, no, su
the
cuñado del patrón, se
brother-in-law
llama John,
of the farm owner showed
John
up,
Jacob, llegó y
and he was
bien
really
asustado, ya se
scared.
estaba
He
chocando
was
con
really
la
surprised to see me like
propia
that.
bodega, nomás
And
venía
so
así, nomás llegó
he
así.
sped up into his,
La
with his
camioneta
car
se
to
hizo
come
de lado,
right
así,
to
la
see
llanta
where
se
I
levantó
was.
y dijo, "Oye, ¿qué pasó?"
And he saw me there laying there.
Entonces, pero ya habían
But they had
llamado la
already
ambulancia, la
called the
tardó en
ambulance. But the
llegar
ambulance
como
actually ended up taking about
casi
20
como
minutes.
20 minutos.
About
Como
20
20
minutes
minutos
before it actually got to
tardó la
me.
ambulancia en llegar. Llegaron
They
los
got there,
paramédicos y
and they
ya,
started
me-
treating me, right?
me-
They
me
wiped it
limpiaron, me
off,
taparon,
they
me
cleaned it,
quitaron la cuerda que tenía,
they
me
put
pusieron
another
otra,
bandage over it,
y ya
and they
me
put me into
subieron
the
a la
ambulance.
ambulancia, me llevaron al
They took
ya
me
al
to the
5,
5th,
ahí se tarda como 15 minutos
which is
del-
about 15 minutes
de la
away
planta al
from
5,
from the
me
hospital.
llevaron a un lugar donde estaba un
So actually, they took me to where there was a helicopter, and I got into the helicopter. And in the helicopter, they took me to the hospital in Hamilton. I don't don't remember the name of the hospital, but they took me to that
Y
hospital in Hamilton.
llegando
As soon as
ahí,
we got there,
Ya me recibió el
there was a
doctor,
doctor there by the name of
Petrisor,
Petrisor, who was the
que
doctor
me
that received
recibió.
me.
Y
Him and a
él y
few other
muchos doctores
doctors,
más,
maybe
eran
there
como
were
unos
7 or
7,
8
8
doctors
doctores.
there. They were
Estaban
already waiting
esperándome
for me
ahí.
as soon as I got there.
Cuando me sucedió
When this accident happened to me,
al principio
at first,
el patrón sí
the
estaba
farm
conmigo.
owner was actually there with me.
Incluso me
He actually
visitó
came
en
to
el
visit me at the
hospital,
hospital
fue,
to
cómo
see how I was
estaba,
doing, that
que
I
no me
shouldn't worry. He
preocupara
told
por
me
todas las
that
cosas que
don't
se
worry about all
iban
the stuff
a
that was about to
proporcionar.
happen to me, that he'd be there for me.
Y también su
Also
Mark, que es supuestamente el empleador,
the employer,
él
Mark,
estaba
who
de
was
acuerdo
actually there
conmigo
too,
y todo.
he
Él me
took me
llevaba
all the
todas las,
paperwork,
como si
as
fuera el
if he
abogado.
would have been the lawyer for me. He took
Y
all the
y el
paperwork and
consulado,
helped me fill it out.
por su
And the
parte,
consulate actually was there
llegaron
too,
allá y
but the
lo
only
único
thing
que
that
me
the
decían
consulate told me was
que yo
that
tenía que salir
I had to
casi al
leave
tercer día
the third day
del
after my
accidente, yo
accident,
tenía
that I had to leave back to Mexico
que
the third day after.
regresarme a México. Entonces,
So my
yo le
response
dije
was
a la
to the
muchacha
lady,
esta, se
to the
llama
lady
Verónica,
Veronica,
le dije que no,
I told her
yo
that
no
no,
estaba
no, I
dispuesto a
wasn't ready
regresarme
and I'm not willing
porque
to go back.
yo había sufrido
I
un
suffered the
accidente
accident
aquí
here in Canada.
y aquí yo
So
tenía que
here
salir
is
ya
where I should actually get
recuperado.
treated.
Entonces,
What I
ella
was
me
told
dijo,
was,
dice, oiga, dice, pero aquí
no, this
este
isn't your
no es
country.
su país y usted
You
tiene
have
que
to go
irse a
back to
recuperar
Mexico
allá a
to
México,
get
a su
better
país.
and to get treated.
Digo,
So
no,
my
digo,
response was,
yo
no,
siento yo
you know what?
que
I feel as
tengo
though
derechos
I have the
tanto
rights
aquí
just
como
as much
allá,
as I
digo,
have them back in
como
Mexico,
los
I have them here,
canadienses, yo
just
también
like Canadians
siento que tengo
do in
derechos.
Canada.
Dice ella, no, no, no,
Her
usted no
response
tiene
was
ningún
that,
derecho
no,
aquí.
no, you don't have any
Usted
responses.
no tiene derecho aquí, usted,
You have
los
no
derechos están
rights.
allá. Aquí, solo los derechos
The
aquí
rights
son para
here
los
are
canadienses,
only for
para
the
los que vienen a
Canadians and for
trabajar
the
aquí, los
Canadians that live
mexicanos
here, and not
no
for the
tienen
Mexicans that
derechos,
come work here. You
nada.
guys have no rights here.
Usted se va a ir
You
para
can
allá
go
y
back to
allá va
Mexico,
usted
and
a
in
recibir
Mexico you
toda
can have
la
whatever
terapia,
therapy,
toda la
whatever
atención,
attention, whatever aid that you need,
todo
but
en
in
México.
Mexico, not here.
Entonces yo me opuse, digo, no, 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 digo, yo no.
So I
Yo no
strongly
voy a
opposed,
irme,
and I
yo
told
aquí
her
me voy a quedar,
no
aquí me
several
pasó el
times, that
accidente y
this
aquí me
is
quedo
where I
hasta que salga
had my
recuperado.
accident, this is where I should get treated.
Y después ya el mismo
The consulate
consulado, cuando
that
yo
was
estaba
also
allá
there
en
at
el
the time
hospital, acá,
in
aquí en
Toronto,
Toronto,
he came to
ya
me
me
and he told
dice,
me that,
señor, dice,
listen,
usted,
if
si
you
no
don't
se
go
va
back to
usted para
Mexico,
México,
if you
si
don't
no
go
se
back,
regresa, cuando
when
yo
I
digo,
tell you to,
va usted a
you will
perder
lose
todos
all
sus
your rights
derechos
that you
aquí.
have here in Canada.
Todo lo que ya
Everything
tiene
that
usted
you've
ganado,
won here,
todo lo
you'll
va a perder.
lose. Everything that you have
Todo,
earned
todo,
here in
todo.
Canada, you will lose.
Le digo,
I told him,
no,
no,
digo,
I don't
creo
think
que
so.
no,
I
no
shouldn't
es
be like
así.
that.
Le
My
digo,
response
bueno,
was,
aunque
even
fuera
if it
así,
was
le
like
digo,
that,
yo
when I
cuando
came
vine
from
de
Mexico,
México, yo
I
vine a
came to work.
trabajar.
I
Yo
came
traía
with
dos
2
brazos.
arms.
Digo, ¿qué puedo
And
perder
what
más?
else can
Digo,
I lose? I
ya
already
perdí
lost
uno.
1 arm.
Ya que me interesa lo demás, digo, no, no, perder más.
What can I
Si
actually
ya lo
lose
tengo
more?
perdido, pues ya
I've
ni
already
modo.
lost a lot.
Cuando vine no traía
When I
nada.
came, I had
Digo, bueno,
nothing, so then
igual.
I'll leave with nothing.
Y él me dijo, no, no, va a estar
So his
perder todo.
response, the consulate,
Y luego
was
ya
that, no,
después me
you'll lose
dijo
everything.
el señor que nos recibe en el aeropuerto,
So the
para
person that
las
actually
maletas,
had
para
came to
irnos
pick
ya
me
para
up to
de
take me to
regreso,
the
ese fue,
airport,
me dijo
his
que
name
se
was
llama
Francisco. He actually told me that
Me dijo, dice, no, dice,
you
usted está
are
fuera
out of
del
the program.
ya.
You will not come back to the
Así,
program
por
because
orden
the
del
consulate has
consulado.
eliminated you and taken you
Y
off
ya había
your
dicho
name
el
off the
consulado que yo ya
list for
estaba
people
fuera
that can
del
come back to the
programa. Y
program.
estoy afuera. Le digo, bueno,
So my
gracias de
response
todas
was,
maneras,
okay,
digo,
thanks.
por
Thanks for
avisarme.
telling me, I guess.
Y ya qué más puedo,
What else
puedo
can I
decir
tell
yo,
you?
digo. Entonces, como no me quise
So
ir,
since
pues,
I didn't
me
really
ca-
want to
me
leave at the
cancelaron
time,
el boleto
they
de
actually
avión.
cancelled
Y,
my
y ya
flight
no.
ticket,
El boleto
and
ahora
so
para irme
now
yo,
that I have to
tengo
go
ya que
back,
pagar,
I
porque
actually
más
have
ya
to
lo
pay.
pagué.
Well, actually, I've paid my
Y,
own flight back now.
y el patrón,
The farm owner,
después, ahora últimamente fui allá a
with whom
la
I
farma
visited after,
y me encontré con que yo ya no
had
puedo
informed me
regresar a la
again
farma.
that I won't ever
Ya
be
no
able
puedo
to
ir
go
para
to the
allá,
farm.
tengo
I'm actually
prohibido ir
prohibited
allá.
to go back to the farm.
Digo, bueno, de todas maneras,
So
muchas
I
gracias
guess
otra vez,
my
digo,
response to them was,
por
okay,
no-
thanks,
por el
thanks for letting
aviso,
me know. I
y
guess
así
I
ya
won't
no
come
vengo,
back.
y si vengo ya tengo
And
que
if I
ir
do
por
come
ahí.
back to Canada, now I know I
Las
don't have to
escondidas,
go
y-
or can go back
pero así me
to
lo
the farm.
dijeron. Y ese es donde ha estado ahorita el patrón, donde pongo al patrón.
And
y
now
donde pongo al
where I would
consulado,
consider
por
the
acá.
farmer is exactly
Y
how the consulate
hasta
is.
ahorita yo
They don't
ya me
help me.
voy,
Now I have
voy
to
a
go.
retirar.
I guess I'm retiring now. And the truth is, I'm only going to receive a tiny
bueno, ¿cómo se
tiny
llama?
pension. Actually, it's not even a pension. It's just disability insurance that I'll be receiving and workers' compensation that was given to me by WSIB, who gave me a check for, well, a sum of money.